That photo is of my friend. Why is it on your wall? The homeless man said. The millionaire froze. The clocks in Benjamin Ward's mansion ticked, but time had stopped 3 months ago. It was late afternoon, and the sun streamed through the tall windows of the living room, casting long, silent shadows across the marble floor. Everything was as it had always been, pristine, expensive, curated to perfection, except for the gaping emptiness where his son should have been. Henry's room remained untouched. His toys sat quietly, as if waiting for small fingers to pick them up. The superhero bedspread still held a faint trace of his scent, bubblegum shampoo and cinnamon from the French toast he used to love. But Henry was gone, and no amount of wealth or influence had been enough to bring him back. Benjamin sat in the study with a half-empty glass of whiskey and a tablet full of unanswered emails. His once vibrant eyes were hollow, ringed with sleepless nights and self-loathing. He stared blankly at the screen, the cursor blinking like a cruel heartbeat. Rachel entered quietly. Her blouse was wrinkled and her hair was tied back in a loose knot that screamed exhaustion. She didn't speak, just walked over, placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, and stood there for a moment. "They're not calling us back anymore," she whispered. "The detectives." Benjamin didn't respond. She swallowed hard. "They're moving on, Ben." "They never tried," he said flatly, eyes fixed ahead. "They wrote him off after 2 weeks. We're the only ones who haven't given up." Rachel's eyes welled, but she didn't let herself cry. Not this time. "What if he's gone?" Benjamin turned, finally looking at her. "He's not." The words hung in the air, more prayer than conviction. The sound of voices at the front of the house interrupted them, raised, urgent, security shouting. Then a new voice broke through, young, street tough, loud enough to carry. "I'm not stealing, I'm just trying to sell candy." Benjamin stood slowly, confused. He and Rachel walked out into the grand hallway, just as a scrawny boy of maybe 10 was being escorted toward the door by one of the guards. The kid's hoodie was torn, his sneakers held together by tape, and a half-empty box of chocolate bars clutched in his arms. His face was defiant but scared. "Sir, we caught him trying to sneak past the gate," the guard explained. "I told you I wasn't sneaking," the boy protested. "I rang the buzzer and nobody answered." Benjamin raised a hand. "Let him speak." The guard hesitated, then stepped back. The boy looked up, eyes darting between Benjamin and Rachel, clearly trying to figure out if they were going to call the cops. "I'm just selling candy for school," he muttered. "We go door to door. Some rich folks buy 'em, some don't. I didn't know this place had guards." Benjamin knelt down slowly. "What's your name?" "Logan." He nodded. "Logan, you said you rang the bell?" "Yeah, like twice." Rachel's voice was soft. "And why did you come inside?" "I saw the door open a little, figured someone left it that way. I wasn't going to take nothing, I swear." Benjamin was about to wave him off when Logan suddenly froze. His eyes locked on a framed photo on the wall behind them. It was Henry, grinning in a baseball cap, holding a glove too big for his hand. The photo had been taken the summer before his disappearance. Logan's face changed instantly. He took a step forward, squinting. "Wait, I know that kid." Benjamin's heart stopped. "What did you say?" "I know him," Logan said, pointing at the photo. "He's at that messed-up place in the Bronx, the group home on Wheeler Avenue. I seen him like 2 days ago." Rachel gasped. Benjamin stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly against the tile. "Are you sure?" Logan nodded, still staring at the picture. "Yeah, he don't talk much. Always looking down. But that's him. That's the same kid." Rachel's hand covered her mouth and her knees almost buckled. Benjamin caught her, his own mind reeling. "Come with me," he told Logan. "Wait, am I in trouble?" "No. You're helping me more than anyone has in months." 15 minutes later, Benjamin and Rachel were flying down the expressway in his black SUV, Logan in the back seat holding the box of candy like a shield. Rachel's hands trembled as she clutched her phone, trying to look up the address Logan had given. "Wheeler Avenue," she said aloud. "That's not a group home. It's an old juvenile facility. It got converted a few years ago." Benjamin clenched the wheel. "Why would Henry be there?" Logan shrugged. "It's where they send kids when no one else wants them." Rachel turned, voice shaking. "But our son was kidnapped. He has a file. He's been all over the news." "Maybe they don't know that," Logan said quietly. "Or maybe someone don't want him to know." The words hit like a punch. Rachel looked to Benjamin. "Do you think this is real?" Benjamin's jaw was tight. "I don't care. If there's even a chance, we're going." The SUV weaved through traffic, horn blaring. The city blurred by in steel and concrete, the sky darkening with evening clouds. Hope was a dangerous thing, Benjamin knew. It could lift you up just high enough to break every bone on the way down. But right now, it was the only thing keeping them breathing. And if Logan was right, if Henry was alive, then someone, somewhere, had made a mistake. A mistake Benjamin Ward intended to correct. The building on Wheeler Avenue didn't look like a place where children should live. Rust streaked down the sides of the old brick orphanage, its windows either barred or broken. The iron gate creaked open with a groan that sounded like it hadn't been oiled in years. Trash littered the sidewalk. A flickering security light buzzed overhead, struggling to stay alive as the evening settled in. "This can't be right," Rachel whispered as Benjamin parked the SUV and stepped out. Logan leaned forward from the back seat, pointing. "That's it. That's where I saw him." Benjamin didn't hesitate. He strode to the front door, heart pounding like a war drum. Rachel followed, clutching her coat closed against the chill. Inside, the smell hit them first. Old sweat, bleach, something sour beneath the surface. A woman with tired eyes sat behind a scratched reception desk, scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up. "We're here to see the children," Benjamin said. She blinked. "You got an appointment?" "No," Rachel replied, her voice sharp. "We have a missing son. We think he's here." The woman snorted. "That's not how this works." Benjamin leaned forward, his voice low but full of something dangerous. "We're not here for procedure. We're here for Henry Ward." That name made her pause. She glanced around nervously, then stood. "Wait here." They didn't wait. Benjamin moved down the hall, ignoring her protests, pushing through doors until he found a wide room with peeling paint and rows of cheap bunk beds. Kids sat silently, most of them staring at the floor or clutching worn-out toys. Rachel gasped. Near the back, hunched in the corner, was a thin boy with hollow eyes. His face was partly hidden beneath a too-big hoodie, but it didn't matter. She knew. "Henry!" she cried, rushing forward. The boy flinched violently, backing into the wall like a trapped animal. Rachel stopped, trembling. "It's me! It's Mom!" Benjamin followed, stepping slowly into view. Henry's eyes widened, but he didn't move. There was a bruise on his cheek, a healing cut across his lip, and beneath the baggy sleeves, his wrists looked thinner than they should have been. "It's okay, buddy," Benjamin said gently. "You're safe now." "No!" Henry's voice was small, shaking. "They said not to go. They said, if I talked, she'd hurt Mom." Rachel dropped to her knees. "Who, baby? Who told you that?" But Henry was already crying, curling into himself, rocking. A door slammed behind them. A woman in a faded social worker badge stepped in, alarmed. "You can't be in here," she shouted. "This is our son," Benjamin said. She looked between them, eyes narrowing. "No, that boy was dropped off under the name Mason Green. He doesn't belong to anyone." "We're his parents," Rachel snapped. "He was kidnapped. You need to leave, right now. We'll sort this out legally." "No," Benjamin said. We're not leaving him here another second. The woman reached for her phone. I'm calling the police. You do that? Benjamin said, stepping past her, lifting Henry into his arms with a tenderness that shook Rachel to her core. I'll call the FBI. The name hit hard. The woman froze. They didn't wait. Benjamin carried Henry out of the orphanage, Rachel right beside him. Logan held the door, stunned, watching it all unfold like a scene from a movie. In the car, Rachel wrapped Henry in a blanket from the back seat. He didn't speak the entire ride home. He just held her hand like it was the only thing keeping him from floating away. Back at the mansion, the warmth was jarring after the cold rot of the orphanage. Henry sat curled on the sofa, a hot cup of cocoa in his hands. Rachel never left his side. Benjamin stood near the window, talking on the phone. I don't care how long it takes, he told his head of security. I want every scrap of information on that place, now. He hung up and turned to Henry. Can you tell us anything? He asked softly. Anything at all about what happened? Henry looked down at his cocoa, then whispered, Aunt Kristen. Rachel's face paled. What? That's what she told me to call her, Henry said. She said if I said anything, she'd hurt you. Benjamin sat beside him, slowly. What did she look like, Henry? Henry frowned. She had red hair, like a little orange, not bright. And she smiled all the time, but not nice. It was fake. Rachel stared at Benjamin. It can't be her. Kristen wouldn't. Yes, she would, Benjamin said quietly. And she might have just did. He stood and walked out of the room. Within minutes, he was deep in his study, pulling up digital files and security feeds, tapping into his private network. And that's when he saw it. Henry's official case file, gone. The name, the records, even the Amber Alert notice, scrubbed clean, like he never existed. He called his security director. Run a deep scan. I want to know who accessed Henry's file and when. Use the back doors if you have to. Understood. Benjamin hung up and stared at the screen, his chest tightening. Someone with access to police systems had covered this up. Someone with power. Later that night, for the first time in months, Benjamin and Rachel watched their son sleep. He looked peaceful. Safe. Rachel kissed his forehead and whispered, We've got you now. But sometime before dawn, everything shattered again. Rachel was the first to wake. The house was too quiet. A strange feeling pulled at her. She checked the bedroom. Empty. Panic hit like a tidal wave. Benjamin! She screamed. He ran in, confused, then saw the bed, blankets tossed, window open, cold air swirling through. Henry! He shouted, racing through the halls. Nothing. They searched the entire house, every room, every camera. Gone. And then Rachel found it. A chocolate bar wrapper. Logan's. She opened the front door. Logan was gone too. The house felt violated. Benjamin stood in the middle of Henry's bedroom, staring at the open window as if it were a wound that refused to close. The curtains fluttered gently, mocking him with the normalcy of the breeze. Somewhere, far below, the city moved on. Cars honked, sirens wailed. Life continued. But inside the mansion, everything had collapsed again. Henry was gone. Again. And this time, Logan was gone too. Rachel sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the chocolate bar wrapper so tightly it crinkled in her fist. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes unfocused. "This is my fault," she whispered. "I should have locked the windows. I should have stayed with him." Benjamin turned sharply. "No, this was planned." He crossed the room and pulled up the security feeds on his phone. One by one, the cameras flickered across the screen. Front gate, side yard, driveway, all blank. "They wiped the footage," he muttered. Rachel looked up. "Who is they?" Benjamin didn't answer. Not yet. The police arrived within 20 minutes, but Benjamin already knew how this would go. Two detectives stood in the living room, their expressions carefully neutral. They asked the same questions, took the same notes, promised the same reassurances. "We'll do everything we can," one of them said, not meeting Benjamin's eyes. "You already closed his case once," Benjamin snapped. "You erased him." The detective stiffened. "Sir, I don't know what you think you saw." "I know exactly what I saw," Benjamin cut in. "My son's file was deleted from your system. That doesn't happen by accident." Silence. Rachel watched their faces change, just slightly. A flicker of something between them. Recognition. Fear. Benjamin saw it too. After they left, he didn't wait. He went to his study, locked the door, and pulled out a laptop that wasn't connected to any of his public networks. This one was old, customized, invisible, a relic from before he became a billionaire, before he learned to play by rules. He logged in. Within minutes, he was inside the city's police archive, tracing access logs, metadata, timestamps. His fingers flew across the keyboard, jaw clenched. There it was, Henry Ward. Case accessed, modified, deleted, authorization level, administrative. Benjamin leaned back slowly. Someone high up had signed off on this, someone who wanted Henry to disappear. Rachel paced the hallway outside the study, phone pressed to her ear. She had called every hospital, every shelter, every contact she could think of. Nothing. Then a name surfaced in her mind like a ghost. Kristen. She stopped pacing. No, that was impossible. Kristen had been unstable, yes, bitter, angry after the divorce. But kidnapping? Holding a child hostage? Rachel shook her head, trying to dismiss the thought, but it wouldn't go away. She went to the guest room closet. Inside, buried beneath winter coats and old storage boxes, was a folder Benjamin had never thrown out. Divorce papers, custody agreements, old correspondence. Rachel opened it. Her hands trembled as she read. Threatening emails, missed court dates. One message, sent years ago, burned itself into her memory. "You took my life from me. One day, you'll feel what that loss feels like." Rachel's stomach dropped. She grabbed her phone and made a call. Benjamin was still staring at the screen when Rachel burst into the study. "She worked there," Rachel said, breathless. "Kristen, she worked at the orphanage." Benjamin looked up sharply. "What?" "I called an old friend in social services, asked about staff records at Wheeler Avenue. Kristen used a fake last name, but the birth date matches. She was there for 6 months." Benjamin's mind raced, pieces snapping together with terrifying clarity. "Aunt Kristen," he whispered. Rachel's voice broke. She was right there, watching him. Benjamin stood so fast his chair tipped over. She never wanted Henry. She wanted revenge. Miles away, the warehouse smelled of oil and damp concrete. Henry sat on the cold floor, knees pulled to his chest. Logan sat beside him, one arm protectively around Henry's shoulders, despite being just a kid himself. The room was dimly lit by a single hanging bulb. Wooden crates lined the walls. Somewhere, water dripped steadily. "I'm sorry," Logan whispered. "I didn't know she'd come back." Henry sniffed. "Is she gonna hurt my mom?" Logan hesitated. "I don't think so. She's mad at your dad." The door creaked open. Kristen stepped inside. She looked calm. Too calm. Her red hair was tied back neatly, her clothes clean and practical, as if she were preparing for a trip. She smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. "Boys," she said cheerfully, "we're leaving soon." Henry shrank back. "I want to go home." Kristen crouched in front of him. "This is your home now." Logan glared at her. "You said you wouldn't move him again?" Kristen's smile vanished. She stood. "You're lucky I let you come at all." She turned away, pulling out her phone, scrolling through flight confirmations. Everything was ready. Back in the city, Benjamin moved like a man possessed. He called in favors. Old ones. Dangerous ones. Private investigators. Former federal agents. Hackers who owed him their freedom. "Find her," he told them. "I don't care how." Within hours, his study wall was filled with screens. Kristen's financial records, burner phone pings, false identities. She was careful, but not careful enough. "She's prepping to leave the country," one voice crackled over the speaker. "Cash withdrawals, fake passport, one location keeps popping up." Benjamin leaned forward. "Where?" "An old warehouse off the river. Industrial zone, no cameras." Benjamin's eyes hardened. Rachel stepped into the room. "Tell me we're not too late." Benjamin grabbed his coat. "We're not." But as they headed for the door, a final message appeared on one of the screens. A delayed text from an unknown number. "You should have stayed away. Now you get to lose him twice." Benjamin crushed the phone in his hand. The hunt was over. And the real nightmare was just beginning. The voice message was faint, almost buried beneath static and background noise. But Benjamin recognized the voice instantly. "Dad, if you get this, we're in a big building. I think it's by the river. I can hear boats sometimes. Please hurry." It was Henry. His voice was shaky, scared, but alive. Benjamin clutched the hidden smartwatch Rachel had tucked inside Henry's backpack the night they brought him home. Somehow, in the chaos, the device had stayed on. And now it was their lifeline. Coordinates triangulated. Location locked. An abandoned shipping warehouse off the Hudson. No surveillance, no neighbors, no mistakes. Benjamin slammed the SUV into gear and tore through the city like a man possessed. Rachel sat beside him, face pale but focused. "Do we wait for the police?" "We call them on the way," he growled, "but I'm not waiting." The warehouse was gray, cold, and silent, tucked between a scrapyard and a forgotten dock. The gates were chained but rusted. Benjamin kicked them open without hesitation. He moved like a soldier, stepping carefully, eyes sharp. Rachel followed close behind, clutching a flashlight. Every echo of their footsteps was a gunshot in the silence. Then they heard it. A soft voice, a child's voice, through the thin metal of one of the side rooms. Benjamin burst through the door. Henry and Logan sat huddled together on a pile of blankets. Their eyes went wide. Henry's mouth dropped open. "Dad!" Benjamin fell to his knees, pulling both boys into a fierce embrace. "I've got you! I've got you! I've got you!" Rachel joined them, tears streaking her cheeks. She wrapped her arms around all three, whispering into Henry's hair. But the moment shattered as another door slammed. Kristen stood there, a pistol in her hand. "Back away," she said quietly. "All of you." Benjamin stood, shielding the boys. "It's over, Kristen." She laughed, not loud, just a bitter breath of sound. "You think this ends here? You're surrounded. Police are on their way." "They're not here yet." Rachel stepped forward. "Please, you don't have to do this." Kristen's hand trembled slightly. "You took everything from me? You think you deserve this perfect life? This perfect family?" "We didn't take anything," Benjamin said. "You let it slip away." Her eyes flashed. "You lied. You said I wasn't fit to be a mother." "You weren't," he said softly. "You were angry, unstable. You needed help, and you refused it." "I needed you," she screamed, voice cracking. "I needed him." She looked at Henry, eyes wide, face pale, and the fury faltered. Just for a second. "I wanted him to need me too," she whispered. Benjamin took a step forward. "You're not a monster, Kristen. But this ends tonight." She shook her head. "No, you don't get to—" The flashing red and blue lights poured in through the warehouse windows. Sirens. Kristen's hand faltered. Officers flooded the entrance with guns drawn, voices booming commands. Drop the weapon! Kristen hesitated, frozen in the floodlight. Her breath came in gasps. Then, slowly, shaking, she let the pistol clatter to the floor. She dropped to her knees, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I just wanted someone to miss me," she whispered. The officers cuffed her and led her away. No struggle, no screaming. Just silence. Later that night, the family sat together on the living room floor. Henry wouldn't let go of Rachel's hand. Logan sat nearby, nervously sipping hot cocoa, glancing around the room like he didn't believe it was real. Benjamin watched them both, then stood and crossed the room. He knelt in front of Logan. "You saved my son twice," he said. "I owe you more than I can repay." Logan shrugged. "I didn't do it for that." "I know. That's why it matters." Benjamin looked at Rachel, who gave a small, hopeful nod. "I spoke to your mom," he said gently. "She's safe. We're helping her get back on her feet. And if you're okay with it, we'd like you to stay here, with us." Logan's mouth opened, stunned. "You mean, live here?" Benjamin smiled. "Your family now." Logan looked down at his cup. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Okay," he said softly. "Yeah, I'd like that." Weeks passed. The house felt full again. Laughter echoed down the halls. The nightmares came less often. Henry began sleeping through the night. Logan started school, and Rachel walked him there every morning. And Benjamin finally allowed himself to breathe. There were scars. There always would be. But from those scars came something stronger, something unbreakable. Family. Not the one he expected, but the one he'd fight for until the end of his life. And this time, he wouldn't let go.